Captain Zarichin stood at the edge of the Valdra space station's diplomatic quarters, watching the amber lights of distant ships drift through the void like dying stars. Her left hand traced the rim of her coffee cup, while her right hand, her right hand was gone. Just a clean stump wrapped in medical bandages where her dominant hand used to be. 3 weeks. 3 weeks since the Karathi delegation had invited her to their sacred negotiation ritual. 3 weeks since they had smiled with their razor teeth and spoke of honor and unity between species. 3 weeks since they had drugged her ceremonial wine and taken her hand as payment for what they called humanity's arrogance. The irony was not lost on her. Zara had been Earth's most decorated Xeno-diplomat, the woman who had brokered peace treaties with 17 different alien civilizations. She believed in the power of words, in finding common ground, in the naive notion that every species could learn to coexist. How beautifully wrong she had been. Her communication device chirped, displaying an incoming message from Admiral Torres back on Earth. Zara's mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile if it had contained any warmth whatsoever. "Captain Chun," came the Admiral's voice through the speaker. "I trust your recovery is progressing well. The Karathi have sent their formal apologies and a substantial compensation package. The Galactic Council believes this incident can be resolved through proper diplomatic channels." Zara's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Diplomatic channels," she repeated to the empty room. "Of course they do." She had spent her entire career believing that monsters could be reasoned with, that predators could be tamed with the right combination of patience and understanding. The Karathi had taught her a valuable lesson about the universe. Some creatures understood only one language, and it was not the language of peace. The door chimed, and her assistant Marcus entered with a stack of reports. He was young, eager, still possessed of that dangerous optimism that Zara had once carried like a banner. His eyes immediately went to her bandaged stump, and she saw him flinch. "The medical team says the prosthetic will be ready next week. Marcus, offer helpfully. Latest generation neural interface. Full sensory feedback. You'll barely notice the difference." "I do not want a prosthetic," Zara said quietly. Marcus blinked in confusion. "Ma'am, I want to remember," she continued, flexing her remaining fingers. "I want to wake up every morning and see exactly what trusting aliens gets you, what believing in their honor costs." The young man shifted uncomfortably. "Captain," the Karathi explained their customs. "The hand-taking ceremony is how they seal important agreements in their culture. They claim they meant no offense." Zara's eyes went cold. "Marcus, let me share something about Karathi culture that is not in your diplomatic briefings. They do not take the hands of species they respect. They take trophies from species they consider inferior. My hand is hanging in their trophy room right now, dried and mounted next to the claws of some beast they hunted for sport." The color drained from Marcus's face. "That cannot be true." "I made some inquiries after the incident," Zara said, her voice carrying the weight of bitter discovery, "through channels that the Galactic Council would prefer remain unofficial. The Karathi have a lovely collection. Tentacles from the Zarathi, wings from the Celestine, even a few heads from species that no longer exist." She stood and walked to the window, watching the stars that suddenly seemed much colder than before. "The Karathi are hunters, Marcus. Apex predators who have learned to use diplomacy as another form of hunting. They invite representatives from smaller species to their ceremonies, drug them, take pieces, and then claim cultural misunderstanding when anyone objects. The Galactic Council allows this because the Karathi control 3 major trade routes and have the largest military fleet in this sector." Marcus swallowed hard. "What are you saying, Captain?" Zara turned back to him, and he stepped backward involuntarily. There was something in her eyes that had not been there before, something that made her seem less like the patient diplomat he had worked with for 2 years, and more like a predator evaluating prey. "I am saying that I have learned an important lesson about interspecies relations," she said. "I am saying that humans have been playing by the wrong rules in a game where everyone else is cheating. Captain, surely you do not mean to abandon diplomacy entirely. Think of all the good we have accomplished, all the peace treaties, all the lives saved through negotiation rather than warfare." Zara nodded slowly. "You are absolutely right, Marcus. Diplomacy has its place. But diplomacy without the threat of overwhelming violence is just begging. And I am done begging. She activated her personal terminal and began scrolling through files, her left hand moving with practiced efficiency. Marcus watched in growing alarm as she pulled up classified military reports, ship specifications, and personnel records. "Captain, what are you doing?" "Research," she replied without looking up. "Did you know that humans are the only species in the galaxy that actively studies warfare? Every other civilization fights when necessary, but only humans have turned violence into an art form. Only humans spend centuries perfecting new ways to kill efficiently." She pulled up a tactical display showing ship movements in the Karathi sector. "The Karathi think they understand humans because they have met our diplomats and merchants. They have seen our tendency toward cooperation, our desire for peaceful solutions. They believe we are weak because we choose to be civilized." "We are civilized," Marcus protested. "Yes," Zara agreed, "but civilization is not weakness. Civilization is what allows apex predators to build starships instead of just eating each other in caves. The Karathi are about to learn the difference." She opened a secure communication channel and input a frequency that Marcus did not recognize. After a moment, a scarred face appeared on the screen. The man looked like he had seen more battlefields than most people saw sunrises. "Captain Chun," the man said in a gravelly voice, "I heard about your situation. Condolences." "Thank you, Commander Blake. I have a proposition for you." Blake raised an eyebrow. "I am listening. How would you like to teach an entire alien species about human military doctrine?" The commander's grin was not pleasant. "I have been waiting my whole career for someone to ask me that question." Marcus felt his knees go weak. Commander Blake was the leader of the Terran military's most classified unit, the group that handled problems too sensitive for official channels. He was a man they called when diplomacy failed and warfare was too public. "Captain," Marcus managed, "you cannot be serious about this." Zara looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Marcus, do you know why human diplomats are so effective? It is not because we are naturally peaceful. It is because every species we negotiate with knows, deep down, that humans are the most dangerous predators they have ever encountered. They negotiate with us because the alternative is extinction." She turned back to the screen where Commander Blake was waiting patiently. "The Karathi took my hand as a trophy," she continued. "They believe this makes them dominant over humanity. I intend to correct this misunderstanding in a way that will serve as an educational experience for every species in the galaxy." Blake nodded approvingly. "What did you have in mind?" "I want their entire leadership eliminated," Zara said matter-of-factly. "All of them. Every single Karathi who was present at that ceremony. Every single Karathi who approved of taking pieces of other species as trophies. I want their trophy room turned into a crematorium, and I want every other species in the galaxy to understand exactly what happens when someone tries to diminish humanity." Marcus felt the room spinning around him. This was not the woman he had worked with, the patient diplomat who had spent hours crafting careful phrases to avoid giving offense. This was something else entirely. "Captain," he whispered, "this is not you. This is not who you are." Zara looked at him with eyes that held no warmth whatsoever. "You are wrong, Marcus. This is exactly who I am. The woman you knew was playing a role, wearing a mask of civilization, because it served human interests. But the Karathi have shown me that some situations require a different approach." She turned back to Blake. "How soon can you be ready?" "Give me 48 hours to assemble the team," Blake replied. "We will need intelligence on their defensive systems, patrol schedules, the layout of their leadership compound." "Already compiled," Zara said, transferring a data package. "I have been busy during my recovery." Blake's eyes widened as he reviewed the information. "This is incredibly detailed. How did you acquire intelligence this comprehensive?" Zara's smile was sharp enough to shave with. "I told you, Commander. I have been learning important lessons about interspecies relations. Lesson 1. Never trust aliens who smile too much. Lesson 2. Always have a backup plan. Lesson 3. When someone takes a piece of you, take everything from them. Marcus stumbled toward the door, desperate to escape the cold calculation in his captain's voice. I cannot be part of this. I will not be part of genocide. It is not genocide, Marcus. Zara called after him. Genocide implies killing an entire species. I only intend to kill the ones who are stupid enough to threaten humanity. The rest of the Karathi will learn from their example. As the door closed behind Marcus, Zara turned back to Commander Blake with renewed focus. Tell me about your team, Commander. 12 operatives, all human, all veterans of the Centauri border wars. We specialize in surgical strikes against high-value targets. Clean, efficient, and completely deniable. Perfect. And their equipment, state-of-the-art. Stealth ships, plasma weapons, neurodisruptors. We can eliminate an entire leadership structure and be gone before their security forces even know we were there. Zara nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. But, Commander, I want to make one thing very clear. This is not just about revenge, though I admit that is a significant motivating factor. This is about education. Every species in the galaxy needs to understand that humans are not prey animals to be harvested for trophies. Blake's expression grew serious. Understood. But, Captain, you realize that once we do this, there is no going back. Your diplomatic career will be over. Hell, you might end up classified as a war criminal by your own government. Zara looked at her bandaged stump and laughed, a sound like breaking glass. My diplomatic career ended the moment the Karathi drugged my wine. Everything since then has been preparation for this moment. She walked back to the window and stared out at the stars. Do you know what the worst part is, Commander? I actually like them. The Karathi delegation was charming, intelligent, sophisticated. They told jokes, shared stories about their families, expressed genuine interest in human culture, right up until they held me down and took my hand with their ceremonial blade. Betrayal hurts, Blake acknowledged. No, Zara corrected. Betrayal teaches. It teaches you that the universe is full of predators wearing friendly masks. It teaches you that mercy is a luxury that can get you killed. Most importantly, it teaches you that sometimes the only way to earn respect is to become something so terrifying that no one ever dares to test you again. She turned back to face the screen, and Blake saw something in her eyes that made him glad she was on humanity's side. 48 hours, Commander. After that, the Karathi leadership is going to learn why humans became the dominant species on a planet full of apex predators. As the communication ended, Zara stood alone in her quarters, flexing the fingers of her remaining hand. The stars outside seemed different now, full of opportunities rather than obstacles. The galaxy was about to receive a comprehensive education in human nature, and she was going to be the teacher. The woman who had believed in peace was gone, amputated as cleanly as her right hand. What remained was something far more dangerous, a human who had finally stopped pretending to be civilized. The Karathi homeworld of Thesek Prime hung in space like a jewel, its surface covered in gleaming cities and vast hunting preserves. For the past 3 centuries, it had been the untouchable seat of power for one of the galaxy's most feared species. No enemy had ever breached their defenses. No rival had ever successfully challenged their dominance. That was about to change. Captain Zarachin stood in the command center of the stealth ship Retribution, watching the tactical displays with cold satisfaction. Around her, Commander Blake's team moved with the quiet precision of professional killers. These were not the diplomatic Marines she was used to working with. These were humanity's apex predators, carefully selected and trained for moments exactly like this. Approaching the outer perimeter, reported Lieutenant Sarah Cross from the pilot station. Their sensor grid is impressive, but it is designed to detect conventional ships. Our stealth systems are making us effectively invisible. Blake nodded approvingly. The Karathi have never faced human military technology in actual combat. They think they understand our capabilities based on our merchant vessels and diplomatic ships. They are about to receive a very comprehensive education. Zara studied the holographic display showing the Karathi capital city. Somewhere in that maze of towers and plazas was a building where her severed hand hung like a hunting trophy. By tomorrow morning, that building would be a smoking ruin, and every Karathi who participated in her mutilation would be dead. "Captain," came a voice from the communication station. "We are receiving a priority message from Earth Command." Zara did not even look away from the tactical display. "Block it. We are operating under complete communication silence until the mission is complete. Ma'am, it is marked as emergency priority. It might be recall orders." Now Zara did turn, and the communications officer flinched at the expression on her face. "Petty Officer Reynolds, let me explain something to you about the chain of command. I am the commanding officer of this mission. My orders supersede anything coming from Earth, especially when we are operating in hostile territory." "Yes, ma'am," Reynolds replied quickly. Blake watched the exchange with interest. In 3 weeks, Zara had transformed from a career diplomat into something that made even his hardened operatives nervous. The change was remarkable and slightly terrifying. "Final approach in 10 minutes, Cross announced. "All systems green. The Karathi defense grid is showing no signs of detecting our presence." "Excellent," Zara said. "Commander Blake, please brief the team on target priorities." Blake activated the holographic display, highlighting specific buildings in the capital city. Primary target is the Grand Assembly Hall, where the Karathi Leadership Council meets. Secondary targets include the Trophy Museum, where they display their collection of stolen body parts, and the residence compounds of the 12 council members who authorized the taking of Captain Chen's hand. He zoomed in on each location in turn. Intelligence indicates that the council is currently in session, debating trade agreements with the Andromedan Republic. This gives us an excellent opportunity to eliminate the entire leadership structure in a single strike. One of the operatives, a scarred woman named Sergeant Torres, raised her hand. "Rules of engagement, sir?" Blake looked at Zara, who stepped forward with a smile that contained no warmth whatsoever. "Total elimination of all designated targets," she said calmly. "No prisoners, no survivors, no witnesses. The Karathi leadership needs to understand that there are consequences for treating humans as prey animals." "What about civilians?" Torres asked. "The Karathi definition of civilians is interesting," Zara replied. "Every adult Karathi is trained in combat from childhood. Every adult Karathi participates in their hunting culture. Every adult Karathi who was present at my mutilation celebration cheered when they took my hand. As far as I am concerned, there are no civilians among the Karathi leadership." Sergeant Torres nodded grimly. "Understood, Captain." The ship shuddered slightly as they entered the planet's atmosphere, their stealth systems adapting to maintain invisibility. Through the viewports, the lights of Thesek Prime grew larger and brighter. 2 minutes to insertion point, Cross announced. Zara walked to the equipment locker and began strapping on combat gear. Blake watched in amazement as she efficiently checked weapons and equipment using only her left hand, her movements practiced and deadly. "Captain, you do not need to participate in the ground assault," he said carefully. "My team can handle the tactical elements while you coordinate from orbit." Zara's laugh was like breaking ice. "Commander, the Karathi took my hand in a ceremony designed to humiliate humanity. I intend to return the favor personally. Besides, they will never expect a diplomatic attached to lead a military strike team." She hefted a plasma rifle with her remaining hand, testing its weight and balance. "Do you know what I've been doing during my recovery, Commander? I have been learning to shoot left-handed. Turns out I am naturally ambidextrous. The Karathi accidentally made me more dangerous, not less." Blake shook his head in amazement. "Remind me never to piss off human diplomats." "Too late for that lesson to help the Karathi," Zara replied. The ship settled into a hover above the target area, invisible to the sensors of the sprawling city below. Through the tactical display, they could see Karathi citizens going about their evening routines, completely unaware that death was about to fall from the sky. "Final systems checked," Blake announced. "Plasma weapons charged. Stealth suits active. Communication links established. Remember, people, we go in fast, hit hard, and leave nothing but smoking craters." The team began their final preparations, each operative focused on their assigned targets. Zara watched them work with growing satisfaction. These were the products of human military evolution, predators trained by the most successful hunting species in the galaxy. "Insertion in 30 seconds, Cross called out. Zara activated her comm system and opened a channel to the Karathi Leadership Council. She wanted them to know exactly who was coming for them and why. "Attention, Karathi Leadership Council," she said in the same calm, diplomatic tone she'd used in 100 peace negotiations. "This is Captain Zara Chun of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. 3 weeks ago, you invited me to participate in what you claimed was a sacred ceremony. You drugged my wine and amputated my right hand as a trophy for your collection." She paused, watching the tactical display as emergency lights began flashing in the Grand Assembly Hall. They had heard her transmission and were beginning to panic. "I am calling to inform you that your education in human nature is about to begin," she continued. "You believe that taking a piece of me would demonstrate your dominance over humanity. Instead, you have unleashed something that your species is not equipped to handle." The insertion pods launched from the ship, carrying Blake's team toward their targets like guided meteors. Zara watched their progress on the tactical display with cold satisfaction. "You see, the thing about humans is that we are not actually civilized," she explained to the increasingly frantic Karathi leadership. "We are apex predators who have learned to use tools and cooperation to become more efficient killers. Every human diplomat you have ever met is backed by the most sophisticated military machine in the galaxy." The first explosions bloomed across the city as Blake's team reached their targets. The trophy museum, where her severed hand was displayed, vanished in a ball of plasma fire. The residence compound of the council members disappeared one by one, each explosion precisely timed for maximum psychological impact. "The hand you took belonged to a human who believed in peace," Zara continued, her voice remaining calm even as chaos erupted around the Karathi leadership. "The woman you are dealing with now believes in education through superior firepower." Her own insertion pod launched, carrying her toward the Grand Assembly Hall, where the Karathi Council was trapped like animals in a cage. As she fell through the atmosphere, she felt a sense of completion that had been missing since the moment she woke up without her right hand. "Captain Chun to all teams," she announced over the comm system. "The lesson begins now." The pod crashed through the roof of the Grand Assembly Hall, and Zara emerged from the wreckage like a demon from human nightmares. The Karathi Council members scrambled for cover, their hunting instincts finally recognizing a superior predator. She had practiced this moment in her mind 1,000 times during her recovery. The plasma rifle felt perfectly balanced in her left hand. Her movements were precise, economical, devastating. Each shot was carefully placed, each target selected for maximum educational value. "You wanted to understand human nature," she said conversationally as the Karathi leadership died around her. "Allow me to provide a comprehensive demonstration." The council chamber filled with smoke and screams and the distinctive smell of plasma-burned flesh. Zara moved through the chaos with the focused intensity of a surgeon performing delicate operations. She was not killing in anger or rage. She was teaching a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for generations. The last council member, a massive Karathi with ceremonial scars covering his hide, attempted to charge her with a traditional hunting spear. Zara shot him in the legs, dropping him to the floor, but keeping him alive for a moment longer. "Do you understand now?" she asked, kneeling beside the dying alien. "Do you comprehend what you unleashed when you decided to take trophies from humanity?" The Karathi's eyes were wide with something that might have been understanding or terror. "You are monsters," he gasped. Zara's smile was sharp enough to cut diamond. "No, we are teachers, and class is now in session." The final shot echoed to the burning chamber, and then there was silence. "All teams report." Blake's voice came through her comm system. "Museum destroyed," came Torres' voice. "Trophy collection incinerated. The building is gone. Council residences eliminated," reported another operative. "No survivors." "Leadership compound neutralized," announced a third. "Target area completely sterilized." Zara stood in the center of the devastated council chamber, surrounded by the bodies of the aliens who had thought they could treat humanity as prey. Her right hand was gone, but she had never felt more complete. "Mission accomplished," she announced. "The Karathi leadership has received their education in human military doctrine. I believe they now understand the consequences of underestimating our species." As she walked through the burning ruins of the Grand Assembly Hall, Zara activated her personal comm and opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Torres' face appeared on the screen, his expression a mixture of shock and admiration. "Captain Chun," he said carefully, "I trust your mission was successful?" "Completely," she replied. "The Karathi leadership has been eliminated, their trophy collection has been destroyed, and their military command structure has been decapitated. I estimate it will take them several decades to recover, during which time they will be completely incapable of threatening any other species." The Admiral nodded slowly. "And the diplomatic implications?" Zara laughed, a sound like breaking glass in a hurricane. "Admiral, let me explain something about diplomacy that they do not teach in the Academy. Peace treaties are only as strong as the fear that backs them up. After tonight, every species in the galaxy will understand exactly what happens when someone tries to take trophies from humanity." She walked to the edge of the building, looking out over the burning city below. Emergency vehicles were arriving, but it was far too late to save anyone who mattered. "The Karathi thought they could treat humans like prey animals," she continued. "They have learned that humans are not prey. We are apex predators who have been pretending to be civilized for the sake of galactic stability. But when someone threatens us directly, when someone tries to diminish us, we revert to our true nature." "And what is our true nature, Captain?" Zara's smile was visible even through the comm link. "We are the species that turned warfare into an art form, Admiral. We are the creatures that conquered an entire planet full of predators using nothing but intelligence, cooperation, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. We are humanity, and the galaxy is about to remember why every other species fears us." The comm link closed, and Zara stood alone in the burning ruins of the Karathi leadership, watching the flames dance against the alien sky. Her right hand was gone, but she had gained something far more valuable. She had rediscovered the truth about human nature, and she had shared that truth with an entire civilization. The education was complete. The lesson would not be forgotten. Tomorrow, news of the Karathi leadership's complete annihilation would spread across the galaxy. Every species would understand that humanity's diplomatic corps was backed by the most efficient killing machine in known space. Every alien leader would remember that humans are not civilized because they are weak, but because civilization makes them more dangerous. The woman who believed in peace was gone, amputated as cleanly as her severed hand. What remained was something far more terrifying, a human who had stopped pretending to be anything other than what she truly was. The galaxy's most successful apex predator, and class was now permanently in session.